So today I was reading through the monthly report and a couple things caught my eyes. I thought that might be a good idea to go ahead and do a shallow dive, much shallower than my roadmap roundups and looking through the deliverables view. You might be wondering why I'm headed to Daymar right now and heading to the abandoned mine of Kudreor. And the reason is because I wanted to look at this. And I'll get to why this is important in a little bit. I've had a burning question since the caves were first introduced. What is a Ranta? Because it sure leaves a lot of dung on moons where there is an atmosphere. Well, it looks like they might have given us an answer, so stay tuned. This one will be pretty quick. I am going to go through the monthly report, but I'm not going to go through it in a whole bunch of detail. I'm just going to pull out a couple things that I noticed that I thought were interesting, literally just about 2 or 3 things. So other people will go through and read the whole thing word for word. I'm not going to do that. I do my shallow dives on the roadmap, on the deliverables, and that's about as much as I want to do on that front. But a couple cool things did pop up in the last couple days. First one is Luke Presley here, who's the guy who actually does the prison gameplay. I think it might be him and one other person that are the ones that are actually working on the mechanics behind prison gameplay, but a lot of people are kind of freaking out about prison coming in, so I thought that I'd kind of show off this one. So myself and I think all the content creators and probably the entire community were talking that right now the crime system is too strict. It hits players at like a crime stat 2, and that's sort of, let's call them misdemeanors. So basically people are doing a misdemeanor and getting thrown in prison for hard labor, which is kind of a little unbalanced, especially when they're going to up the penalties for prison, kind of start funneling people into prison, and the only place you can clear a crime stat is at Security Post Korea in 318. But he was talking about it here, so this one I actually will just read. It's not super long. I wanted to let you know that there are some major changes being tested right now, which would see players with up to CS2 no longer lawful to attack and allowed to land at all LZs to pay off their fines. So bounty hunters would not be able to shoot down people with these misdemeanors. Also, all CS2s will be payable as fines. That's very good. That's kind of what I've been suggesting and a lot of people have been suggesting. We're quite confident this will work out, but obviously reserve the right to change this and if insurmountable issues are discovered, of course. I'll go into more detail on these charges when we are absolutely certain. Also, we've been trying to repro some of the issues mentioned in this thread. The Sonian put up a thread, and actually at some point I should probably show that off, but I think it was an Ask the Devs post on Spectrum. They've been trying to repro some of the issues mentioned in this thread, and though we're not done testing, I can report that we have discovered the source of some of them. Innocent players can be charged if other players self-inflicted damage on their vehicles. Should be an easy fix. Innocent players aboard a ship containing criminals can press charges against bounty hunters who destroy the ship. Not an easy fix, but we got ideas. That one actually is kind of a problem because a couple of the other ones kind of do the same thing, is that pirates will take basically a human shield. I mean, it could easily be one of their friends who just doesn't have a crime stat, specifically for the purpose that if a bounty hunter comes up and blows them up, they go to prison too. The bounty hunter does, because they just killed an innocent person. Criminals can press charges against civilians who snare them, so if you use the Manus to knock them out of Quantum, ship debris will not clean up, possibly causing destruction to other ships. We think this is likely the cause of Ghost Armistice violations. The bug is logged on another team, so depending on who the team is, they might or might not get to it for 318. The gunner of a vehicle can give a pilot a crime stat for attacking an AI vehicle. That happens a lot, because when you're in that turret and you don't have anything to do, you want to pull that trigger and watch the bullets go off or the rounds go off, and Yeah, hit an NPC ship, you've now got a crime stat of like 3 or something. Was found to only be the assaulting an officer crime. Should be an easy fix. I don't know. I think that's one where the ship probably should get a criminal rating, but we have also been discussing possible solutions to non-criminals protecting bounties, and we have a few ideas. I have read many of the suggestions made in this thread and others, and while ultimately we will never be able to understand the true intentions of players and create an infallible system, I appreciate it could be a lot better than it is now, and I hope to be able to spend more time on it. So, I mean, a lot of the problems that CIG has is basically the whole problem that they're having in development right now. Anyways, they've got a lot of holes in the dike and they can't plug them all. They don't have enough fingers. So, I mean, they're working on the things they can, and prisons kind of and crime stats kind of took a back burner to the other more pressing things like Squadron 42. But now that they're dropping more prison on us, I think that they kind of said, we can't put it out in a broken state because they're going to release it with a free fly. They're going to have a bunch of free flyers going to prison. It's not a real great experience, especially if they're going in there with a bunch of PvPers. Here you go. So that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. On to the monthly report. So I was kind of reading through this, and I always kind of read through this and just kind of glance through. It's a good way to kind of pick up on things that CIG is actually focusing on, but occasionally they'll sneak little things in there. Okay, so right down here, and this could be, so a lot of times what they'll do is they'll just copy paste from the Squadron 42 report if there's not a bunch of changes, and they'll just paste it in here. But this paragraph right here was very interesting. On the animation side, AI features polished female human combat animations and created blockout animations for the improved sharp turn functionality. So good. The character animations are a little janky. Like when you see somebody run, it's not especially convincing. A female needs a lot of work, but that's not the part that I found particularly interesting. They also continued polishing Van Duel search and investigation animations, including specific search locomotion animations. Now, that's interesting because this is the PU monthly report. This is not the Squadron 42 monthly report. So if they're mentioning Van Duel, way back in the day when we had the when we used to have the missions out with Tessa Bannister, you'd fly out to the satellite and she was searching out signals. One of the missions she'd give you was, we got this distress beacon, and you go, you find it, and I believe there is, I think the ship is destroyed, and you get the black box with a recording on it, and the recording says we were attacked by the Duel, so the Van Duel. And then I think the last mission in that chain, there's about 10 missions you could do for Tessa. The last one, you're actually attacked by Van Duel. So while Van Duel probably wouldn't be in Stanton, a place like Pyro, it's pretty deep in the Empire. It would be hard for them to get there. But maybe. They've definitely got all the Van Duel animations, and it all kind of comes down to whether they're saving that for Squadron or whether they'll start moving the Van Duel in on us right now. I'd be kind of surprised they did, but the fact that they left this in the PU one, maybe, I don't know. Might be reading way too much into that because they do copy and paste, but I found that paragraph very interesting to include in the PU patch. And the next thing I found interesting, hold please. So right down here in animation, the facial animation team worked on a large set of life and mission animations for various PU characters. Cool. On the body side, they followed the development of a new creature with the art and design teams and discussed the animation needs for when it's available. Now we'll get to the next part. Okay, so if you scroll down here, you go past Space Jesus, and you get to this. This is the new caves that are coming, and kind of a quick callback to the roadmap. You can see that we've got the sand cave archetype that'll be on Daymar, which is where we just were. Those are going to be in the next patch. Those are coming in 3.18. Now it says there's not going to be any gameplay involved in these, but I'm not sure that's 100% correct, because if you keep on scrolling, you get to this picture. Now this kind of looks like a piece of tech at first. Let's take a little closer look at that. Enhance. Those are legs. That is an isopod. So if you're wondering what an isopod is, this is an isopod. So this is the kind of isopod that you'd find at the bottom of the ocean. So if you've ever seen a roly-poly or a potato bug, same critter. I like roly-poly because it's slightly less gross. They're isopods. They're usually about that big. These guys can get, I think, over a meter long. So these are not this big. They're 3.5 feet long. That's a deep ocean. But if you're going to make a scary alien, you could do worse. Isopods, some species will actually eat the tongue of fish, and then as parasites, they basically live out their life as the fish's tongue, and they will eat all the food that or not all the food, they'll eat food that the fish is eating and just basically hitch a ride. So actually I'll show you a picture of that too. There you go. Don't say I never gave you nothing. All right, all that is pretty much all I wanted to talk about for right now, but they're working on a new critter. They've worked with art. Now they're working with animation. My thought, since we've had Rantadung in the verse for a while now, I think we might be finally looking at the Rana. So now when you're crawling around in those caves and you hear the little tick, 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 it might not just be rocks falling. So yeah, sweet dreams, y'all. That's all I got. See you next time.